Hello again. Are you thinking of making a swing change this winter? If you are, this is the only time of year when you should be doing it. But if you are going to do it, you should have good reason for it. So today I'd like to show you a quick way of analysing your golf swing and maybe making a decision about whether you're going to change your swing this winter. Hello again. Golf is a wonderful game, but sometimes also very frustrating. And I think if you're out on a golf course and finding you're getting the same kind of problems every time, the same bad shot, the same inconsistency, the same lack of distance, then often you'll look for a technical solution to the problem. And obviously that's the way I earn my money. If you're looking for that solution, there's no better time really to look for it than at winter, because in the winter months there's really time to make a change. The way that your brain actually works, how it learns new movements and then uses these movements in a situation, really tells us that you need time to make a change. The scientists are talking around about 1800 repetitions before a movement is actually in flesh and blood. And you probably need even more time before you've actually broken old habits and are able to use this new movement in a pressure situation. So if ever I'm making swing changes or large swing changes myself or with my students, I'll always try and move it into these winter months when they're not playing much golf, and therefore they're not getting these contradictory kind of feelings every weekend when they're on the golf course against what they're trying to drill into their bodies during the driving range sessions. So the next question is, okay, well, how would you go about analysing what you're doing wrong? Well, the very first thing is really to kind of think back at the rounds you've hit this season and actually think, well, why in the world am I hitting that shot? And I'll give you an advancement, an idea from my own experience. I've actually played a little bit more golf than usual. I mean, we're only talking maybe 12 private rounds, which is a lot for me. But the same bad shot seemed to crop up all the time. I was kind of blocking it out to the right, had the feeling the club was a bit trapped behind me, and I wasn't really kind of getting turned through the golf ball. There was a little bit of early extension. And obviously, as an instructor who's swinging a golf club every day, my body was giving me this feedback, the ball was giving this feedback. And when I put it on video, the camera was giving me the feedback as well. So how did I actually determine what I was going to change? So I'd like to kind of give you an idea. If you've got a telephone that has a decent camera on it, there's a lot of software you can download for it, which will allow you to make a few kind of circles and lines on the screen. And I'm going to show you a simple way of analysing your golf swing and deciding on the change that you have, maybe what that could be actually doing to the ball flight and the distance you're hitting the golf ball, as a for instance. So let's get started. The very first thing is the address position. Have you got a good address position? Is your alignment correct? Is the ball position correct? How's the grip? Is the posture okay? Now you should be able to see this if you've got a face on and a down the line camera. It means two cameras, or it means one camera taking from two different angles. Now don't worry too much if you're making a video of your swing of different swings. I know we have the kind of feeling, obviously, if you go into a decent teaching situation, there will be two cameras at least there to actually take your swing at the same time. In my experience, however, there isn't a massive amount of difference from one swing to another on a technical level. Sometimes your timing can be totally off on one and perfect on the next one. But if you actually look at the technical movement you're making, you'll see the same symptoms and the same problems, irrespective of if it's swing 1, 2 or 3. So the first thing really when you actually get the videos is to take your face on video and just draw a circle around your head. That way, what you can actually see during the swing is how much movement there is up, down, right or left during the swing. Now, the poor old head comes in for all kind of bad critique in a golf swing analysis. Unfortunately, the poor thing is just sat on your shoulders, and if your shoulders are wobbling around, there's not an awful lot that your head can do it. But the same thing goes for the shoulders, because the shoulders are sat on your trunk, and your trunk on your hips, and if your hips are wobbling around, there's not an awful lot that your shoulders can do about it. And that goes even further to your legs. If your one leg is shorter than the other, don't expect your head to stay in the middle of the frame during your golf swing. So this is basically the way we're going to kind of explore the reasons for the head movement. But the very first thing to do is to actually identify, is there any? Do you want some? Well, some swings benefit from a little kind of lateral movement. A lot of the top golfers will actually see their heads going down towards the golf ball in impact. So we're not really looking for a totally stable head, a head that doesn't move at all in this circle, but we are looking for minimum movement in the head at that time. Because obviously, if I see that my head is staying still, then I know that my axis and the distance from my axis to the golf ball is going to be pretty stable as well. If we look at the down the line camera, you can see I'm going to actually draw two lines onto the screen. One of them is going to be the butt line, which is actually going to do the same job as the ring around my nose, or my head. It's going to show me how much movement I have in my butt away from its starting position. In the perfect world, it's going to stay on this butt line during the swing and only come away from it at the end of the swing when I stand up into the finish position. What I'm also going to do is put a line down the shaft and along the shaft. What I'm really looking for there is to give myself a kind of a feeling of whether my body is turning in the right plane. I want the shoulders to be turning down in the same plane as the shaft had at address. And that will mean if I'm practicing with a longer golf club with a flatter lie, I'm going to be a little bit more upright. If I'm practicing with a shorter club with a steeper lie, I'm going to be a little bit more bent over the ball at the address position. When I then swing the golf club, I will look at the swing in slow motion and see how the club is working relative to the shoulders. What I'm really looking for is the kind of feeling of an oversimplification of left shoulder coming down to the center, and in the follow through the right shoulder coming down to the center again, creating a circular movement. Then as I swing the club back, I'm wanting my right hand to follow that circular movement with the right shoulder and the left hand to follow it in the follow through. So my hands are creating a circular movement around the circular movement of the shoulders. The club is hopefully following the hands. So it is creating its own circle. Now before the better golfers start saying, well, John, these aren't really circles, especially the club, as you hinge here, pull it down, it's going to be moving on a tighter loop, so it's more of an ellipse than a circle. You're quite right. However, what we're trying to do is just give you some kind of a visual idea of what you should be looking for when you're analysing your swing. So the very first thing is really to look for the stability of the swing. Is the swing stable? And if you find that you are moving out of the center line or coming up away from the tush line in the backswing or follow through, then you know that there's a problem. And if your problem is inconsistency in strike, hitting the ball fat or topping it, it might well be that which is your problem. Similarly, if you can actually see that your shoulders are turning on a flatter plane than your club had originally, or you're standing up and that's causing your shoulders to come into a flatter plane, that could be the reason why the club is too far behind you, or you might be actually lifting the club up in order to compensate for the movement that your shoulders are doing. So I would think the second thing to look at is basically how well are my shoulders turning? Are they staying in plane? And are my arms and hands tracking the line of the shoulders in the backswing? If they are doing that, then you're on a good path. If, however, your arms are getting very steep or very flat relative to the shoulders, given that the shoulders are in plane, then maybe you want to be looking at that. And that could be causing all kinds of problems, obviously, in the downswing. If your arms are up here, then most likely they're not going to flatten out in the downswing. They're going to come very steeply. Similarly, if they're very much behind you, you're not giving yourself an awful lot of options in the downswing. You're probably going to be coming over the top again in the downswing in order to compensate for a poor backswing. Again, these simple lines will give you feedback and give you an idea of what it is you've got to change. Maybe the biggest thing that you'll see in virtually all of your videos, however, is the impact position. And rather than seeing this nice hip rotation and shoulder rotation, your hands ahead of the golf ball at impact, you're probably going to see something more like this. And that's simply because your hips are not rotating enough. Your shoulders are also not rotating enough in the downswing. And that's why your arms aren't able to stay straight. Your left arm will be buckling in order to swing the club past your chest. It's not physically possible to do anything else. And that's why an awful lot of you will actually have to be working on a little better hip rotation in this winter in order to be able to keep your arms a little straighter and get the golf club moving down through the golf ball instead of spooning the golf ball up into the air and turning your 7-iron into a 9-iron. Once again, it's very difficult to really know what's the reason, what's the base cause of your problems rather than the symptom of your problems. But if you just basically look at the stability of your golf swing and the plane of your golf swing, you're probably going to find any major variations from what you're actually looking for. Again, if you get yourself into the starting position and you're staying with your head in the center of your backswing, your shoulders are in plane with the shaft angle, and your arms are swinging up across your shoulder plane, then theoretically, with a good move in the downswing and turn, you're going to get into the perfect impact position through the golf ball, and that's going to give you a lot more control and a lot more power in your shots in 2020. Next time, I'm going to come back and show you what I'm going to be working on over winter, because I'm very interested to see if I really invest a lot of time whether I can change something in my swing that I've been doing wrong since I was a kid. If you're interested in seeing that, come back again. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. The little bell will give you notifications the next time that I post a video, and I'll leave my philosophy of golf up here in the left-hand corner. You can download that for just 99 cents. Have a good time. We'll see you very shortly. Until the next time, bye-bye now.